like we have such an intimate group, I probably don't even need a microphone. I may not even need a microphone, but I'll keep this nearby just in case, because the acoustics in here are amazing. All right. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Donald Smith. I'm the VP of Homeowner Services with Habitat Broward, and I'm just grateful that you all took some time out of your Saturday morning, going on to the afternoon, to just learn and get some information about our homeownership program. As you know, we have our open enrollment happening right now, so we wanted to just offer up space and time to just go over some of the program details, just with applying and just what to expect with the homeownership program as a whole, and then just offer space and opportunity for you to be able to answer asking questions that may be going on in your head. So we'll make the most of this time, but before we jump into this, I just have to say how grateful I am to the Sanctuary Church, which is where you all are at right now, for them to open up their beautiful sanctuary for us to be able to allow this space to be able to gain this information. And Pastor Dwayne wanted to be able to just open up, ground us, and just say a few words to you all. So Pastor Dwayne, thank you again for offering the space.
No, thank you, thank you. Can you hear me? Is it okay? Good? Good. It is a pleasure to have you here, an honor to have you here with Sanctuary Church. If this guy out there, so welcome in. We believe in Habitat and what goes on here. So if you wouldn't mind, if I could open up the prayer. So let's pray together. God, this is new beginnings. We new things in our life. We are forward. We are our brothers and sisters. They're all children of God. We lift them up. And at this moment, this time, they give you love and your life to change. All of those.
All right. So, would it be better with this or just talking out? Just talk? Okay, cool. Less things in my hand. All right. So, we have our slideshow here that I'm going to go through. There is going to be a portion in there. I like to keep things very simple, so there's not a whole lot of things you see, a lot of paperwork. So all this stuff is going to be available to you. Who are the Habitat homeowners? Habitat homeowners are teachers, city workers, yourselves, managers, directors. They are the folks who keep this county moving. They are you. So this program is designed to provide opportunity for our workforce here in Broward County. And one of our future homeowners, who is now a Habitat homeowner, is Ms. Petra here. Petra is a Broward County school teacher. And for her and her family were forced, because of the high cost of rent, they were forced into an overcrowded situation. And for Petra, it has been instilled in her to just serve her community. And all she wants to do is live in the community in which she teaches. Just like you all want to be able to afford to live in the community in which you work and serve. And so Petra, like you all, decided that she wanted to go on a journey and get some information. She, like yourself, sat in the space to get information and decided to step out on faith. And so I want you all to take a moment and hear a little bit about Petra's story, as well as some of our other future homeowners and why they decided Now is their time to move forward and apply for this program.
I want a home for my family.
Give us one moment. Welcome to everyone who just joined us.
I wanted to join the program because I want a home for my family. Home is so important to me. I have my daughters, I have my granddaughter. I watched my mother struggle in life to provide a home for me, and home means everything. Home is where your heart is. Home is where your family is.
I wanted to join the program because I wanted to provide myself and my children with a place to stay, a place to call home.
We can't quite afford what is the prices of the houses nowadays. And we wanted our kids to be able to be comfortable in what they call home.
I joined Habitat because I've heard nothing but great things. I moved to Florida about 9 years ago, and one of my coworkers mentioned Habitat.
I wanted to join Habitat because I saw that it would be an opportunity for me to own a home, an affordable home, and I've seen what the program has done for others, and I just really wanted to be a part of it.
Well, as having 3 kids, it's very important to have a house for them and not just renting. So, I had to try.
I made my dream come true. You can too.
Our vision is a world where everyone has a decent place to live. Habitat for Humanity started in the 1940s in Koinonia, Georgia, where Clarence Jordan really believed in a space where communities can come together. At that time, he really believed in integration, where black farmers and white farmers can live in the community, where they can build homes together, support each other, and then continue to pay it forward. And fast forward down to 1965, where Clarence met Millard and Linda Fuller, which really was the birth of Habitat. And since then, Habitat for Humanity has become a global movement, building homes, safe, stable homes for families that have a housing need all over the world and in most counties here in the United States. Habitat was found on Christian values, where we look to seek to put God's love into action to make sure that we're building hope, communities, and a stable place for families to grow, to build that generational wealth. Home ownership, as you all know, not only provides stability, but our Habitat homeowners, after moving into their homes, the attendance and grades of their kids and their grandkids went up. The health of the whole household increased. The sense of safety tripled, but also being able to build that generational wealth, that gift that you can leave, that legacy that you can pass on and on. Home ownership allows you the opportunity to then focus on that next dream of yours. So with Habitat, where are we building? So over the next couple of years, we're building all over the county. We are building in Fort Lauderdale, Oakland Park, Pompano Beach, Lauderhill. We have townhomes and single-family homes that will be coming out of the ground here over the next couple of years. So there is opportunity. And the way some of our homes, and I just have this little example on here so you all can have an idea of what a Habitat single-family home layout looks like. But our single-family homes tend to be 3 and 4 bedroom, 2 to 2.5 bathroom homes. Typical square footage is around, with a garage, you're looking around over 1,600 square feet. Livable space is about just under 1,400 square feet livable space. So these are amazingly well-rounded homes here. And so, and hold on, let me get a quick little second here. Just want to make sure, just want to check something out. All right, so what I wanted to make sure that we focus our conversation on today is about the home ownership program. That's what you all are here to learn about. And about our homeowner selection process. And so, give me 1 second. I know I don't know what's going on with my little device here. So, no worries. I've done this presentation a billion times. All right, so everything that I'm going over today, there is a QR at the end of this presentation that you all are going to be able to scan. So that will have all of the details in which I'm going over. So I encourage you, if there's some things that you want to take notes on, jot them down. Also, at the end, I'll open up the space for you all to ask any questions. For those of you who joined us a little bit after we started, the whole goal of me is to make sure that you all have the information you need. So whether you've already submitted a questionnaire or you're looking to submit, my whole goal today is to make sure that you understand what our selection process looks like and what a successful applicant looks like, and then as well as what our homeownership program looks like. What you will not see me do is really spend a whole lot of time diving into the home, where we're building, and all of that. That comes later down. The starting point is the homeownership program. That's really the starting point. So that's really what we're going to focus on. So our home ownership program, as you can see, it is not for someone who's looking to turn around and have immediate housing. That's not the services that we provide at Habitat Broward. As you can see, our home ownership program has several steps and stages before you actually reach that top of that step where is that home, which is the goal. That is the goal, is home ownership. But in order to get there, it is a process and it is a journey. And the program is not for everyone, but it is my goal is to make sure that you are informed about our program. And so as you see, it starts off with getting the information. Those who are just interested in getting the information. I encourage everyone, which is why I applaud you all for being here, is to make sure that you get the information to understand what our process looks like. We are not a traditional mortgage lender. We are a special purpose lender, which allows us to work where the work is needed, which is in the community with the workforce, as we describe who is the Habitat homeowner. But with our program, you must have a housing need. So housing need looks different for everyone. Everyone. That could be high cost of rent. That could be unsafe conditions in the home or outside of the home. It could be the structure of the home. There's a number of reasons why, but whomever is applying for the Habitat program, there has to be some kind of housing need, other than just saying, well, I just want to be a homeowner. Well, there's a lot of people who want to just be a homeowner. But at the core is we work with those who have that housing need. Second is a willingness to partner. We're going to learn a little bit more about what that willingness to partner looks like. But during this stage in the process, what we're really focusing on is the ability to pay. Because we want to make sure that when you close on that home, you can afford that mortgage for that long haul. because most mortgages are 30-year mortgages. So we want to make sure that you can afford that, because again, it can't just be, I want to be a homeowner. There's a lot more to it. So, on the previous slide, we did have some criteria. We are going to learn a little bit more of that criteria as we go on. But the big thing that I want to emphasize, that this program is a first-time home buyer program. That is the foundation of which we serve. It is for those who have never, ever owned a home, had your name on the deed of a home, you've never participated in the real estate space. So we work with first-time home buyers, okay? The residency status, and you can keep going. The residency status, you gotta live or work in Broward County. That's one of the big things to understand. You have to live or work in Broward County for at least 12 months, okay? And then the other thing that we are looking at during this stage is you have to be able to verify the income. During this initial stage, the pre-qualification stage, you're telling us what your situation is. You're letting us know how much money is coming in the home, where those income sources are, what's your debts. You're telling us that information. But you have to be able to verify that. You can't just paint this pretty picture of, oh, I look like this and this. It's like, okay, well, show me the receipts. So we gotta be able to have that verifiable income. Next slide, please.
A world where everyone has a decent place to live. Habitat for Humanity of Broward County brings people together to build homes, communities, and hope. Habitat Broward would like to thank you for taking time to learn about our homeownership program. My name is Danielle, and my co-presenter Bradley and I would like to present you with information about Habitat Broward's homeownership program and the application process. Founded in 1983 as the Broward hub of Habitat for Humanity International, as a nonprofit, faith-based community organization, our process is non-discriminatory, serving all types of households and families. The application process is impartial. Familial status, age, race, color, religion, sex, handicap, gender identity, orientation, or national origins play no part in the choice.
This presentation takes just under 15 minutes. It will help you understand more about Habitat in general, how our homeownership program works, what our application guidelines are, and we will explain what it means to be a Habitat partner. More specifically, we will be discussing Habitat Basics, Homeownership Program Qualifications and Requirements, Application Process and Tips, and the Homeownership Program stages. Habitat's mission statement is, we seek to put God's love into action. Habitat for Humanity brings people to...
All right. I'll go ahead and talk. That wasn't the right video to follow on that slide, but it's totally fine. During this stage in the process is this first step here, and this is the pre-qualification process. So during this stage, which is now happening, opened up on Monday and opening through April 3rd. So during this stage, it is where you can go ahead and tell us your information to let us know your essential readiness for our program. So during that pre-qualification stage, can we go back on that slide, please? So during the pre-qualification stage, what we are looking at is you are telling us what your income looks like from all of your income sources. Whether you're applying with an applicant or the co-applicant, both applicants must meet the same guidelines, okay? If it appears, based off of the information that you've told us on that pre-qualification, you will now be invited to the full application. And it's during that stage is where it could take up to 4 months. So this is where we talk about that this program is not for those who are looking for immediate housing. The whole process from start to finish, from when you apply to when you get to that closing table, could be a year and a half, 2 years, or for some folks, it could be as quickly as 8 months. And that just depends on, one, your readiness on how you come into the program, how you move through the process of our partnership requirements, which you're going to learn about a little bit more, and then also where we're at as far as the homes that we're building. Because we can't offer you a home that's not really built yet, or that's in process of being built. But it is during the application phase that you are providing us all of the information to verify your income and verify your financials so we can see if right now is a good time to offer a partnership with you. And so this is the longest stage in the application process. And during this stage, we are verifying your income using your pay stubs. We are verifying your credit, where we are looking at the credit report. We are pulling the credit report. We're looking at your tax forms. That is something I'm going to talk about in a little bit, about making sure that I want you all to pay attention to. And we're also looking at other documents. So it is not just saying, okay, well, Habitat, I pay $2,000 a month for rent. I can afford a mortgage. It's more than just that. It is a full picture. So we ask for a full scope, because one of the big things, it isn't just being able to pay a mortgage, it's how are you managing the rest of the responsibilities that you have. When you're looking at your credit reports, how are you managing your debts? When we look at your bank accounts, how are you managing your finances? When we look at your bank accounts, is there a lot of activity going on? Because again, remember, Habitat not only is a mortgage lender, but we also work with mortgage lenders. So we have to follow the same guidelines, although we offer a lot more grace, but we have to take a full picture of everything. So that is where it takes up to 4 months. And then those who make it through the application phase, then there is a home visit that is conducted with our homeowner selection committee. So that is where we are coming to your home to now see you in person. We got to know you on the application. Now we're going to spend the time to get to know you in person to really see what that housing need was, because you came to us with a housing need, so it's up to us to have that opportunity to talk to you in person and see what that situation looks like. So that really is essentially the application process. And so what I want to do, what I want to do is I want to go through and give you all some helpful guidelines. So you all, as you're moving through this process, as you're making sure and determining if now is a good time for you to apply and move forward, I want to make sure I give you the helpful tips, make sure you have that understanding, because again, it is the pathway through to home ownership, in my honest opinion, is through education. And making sure that you're an educated home buyer lets you understand what options that you have available to you. So these are going to be some helpful guidelines that I want to go over with you all. There it is. So because this is a lot of information that I'm going to go over, and as you see, I don't have any notes because I know all this information, but I want you all to pull out your phones right now, and you can go ahead and scan that QR code. That QR code. And even my volunteers, I would actually encourage you all as well. But I want to encourage you all to scan that, because this has our FAQ packet. So this is going to have all of the details in which I'm going over. You may forget everything that I say today, but at least you're going to walk away with that information packet. So it'll have all the details in there. And also there are 2 pages worth of frequently asked questions that folks have had about this program. So it's a very helpful packet of information. And so again, as I said, the pathway to home ownership is through education. And through that, we get to offer you hope, opportunity, home ownership, stability, and economic empowerment. So let's set you up with the information so you all can get those details. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. And if you miss it, don't worry, I have it pulled up again at the end. All right, so this is something really helpful. So we got a whole little laundry list of things here that I want to talk about. So remember, we are looking at your ability to afford a mortgage. So we want to make sure that what we are qualifying, because these homes here in South Florida, the value of these homes have gone up and up and up and up and up. We want to make sure that you can afford to maintain that mortgage without it exceeding a third of your gross monthly income. That is what we are examining during this stage. And so during this stage, we want to make sure that at first, one, you meet that threshold. Second, with that qualifying housing payment, that's not to say this is your mortgage. This is just what we're qualifying folks at, because we know how much these homes are valued, so we at least got to make sure you can afford an affordable mortgage of at least this qualifying amount. Now, we are taking that and we are looking at, with all of your monthly debts that you have, that's the items that you see on your credit report. Of all of those debts, does that exceed 43% of your gross monthly income? That's what we're looking at. Because we want to make sure that you're not carrying so much debt that now this affordable mortgage is not affordable because you have so many other obligations. So when we say debt to income ratio, we are talking about, and we use the word back in. That means money going out the door. So that back in percent, we look at, make sure it doesn't exceed 43%. The thing that I will say, because on the income, that's probably the hardest part to kind of immediately turn around, because we can't snap our fingers and just instantly make more money. I'd be snapping my fingers all day. But we can put things in place, put ourselves in position, whether that's with the job we have now, or whether it's maybe taking on another job to bring in more income in the home. So when it comes to maybe the threshold, you may not be meeting the threshold that Habitat is looking at, which is fine. But when it comes to the debt to income ratio, that, in my opinion, is the part that you can really address quickly, because those are those debts that we've accumulated. So the next thing that's found on your credit report are charge-offs. So charge-offs are a debt. It is an unpaid debt that has been sold to another creditor, and it will still appear as outstanding on your credit report. So we look at charge-offs in the same category as collections. So for Habitat, we have a threshold of charge-off and collections. Non-medical. Medical has its own little category, but non-medical collections. Again, it's not to say you got collections, oh, can't talk to you. That's not who we are. We do have a certain threshold. So if you have more than $2,500 in non-medical collections or charge-offs, we want to address that, because at that point, you're carrying too much debt for our homeownership program. Okay, so that's the thing with charge-offs. Student loans, a lot in the space of student loans has changed, even over the last year. And so again, it's making sure that whomever Habitat is partnering with, whomever is getting that mortgage, we want to make sure that you're not carrying too much debt, so should things go south, it isn't something that is going to be detrimental to the mortgage lender. Not just the mortgage, not just the homeowner, but the mortgage lender also. It's their mortgage typically tends to be one of the largest purchases the largest debts that we are taking on. So that's a lot of risk that the mortgage lender is taking on as well. So with Habitat, With our program, your student loan total balance cannot exceed $50,000. If that balance exceeds $50,000, again, you'll want to address that to bring that balance down within our threshold. Rental history. We do take a look at your rental history because we want to look at, okay, well, with your current obligations, how are you managing that? Are you paying your rent on time, or is there a history, some challenges of paying that rent on time? Is it getting paid on the 1st, or is it getting paid on the 15th? Are you paying it all, or is it getting kind of chunked down? We want to see that. Now, there are plenty of people, go ahead to the next slide. There are plenty of people who come into this program who are living with friends or family, and that's okay. One, we have to make sure that that's legitimate, and if you are making contributions to that space, we want to make sure that that's consistent. We want to, again, be able to verify, okay, with that, since you're not paying rent, how are you managing the rest of your money? Are we spending every single dollar that comes in the door? Are we leaving a little cushion? Is there some savings? So those are things that we're taking into consideration. Some of these other guidelines that are really helpful for you all to understand that we take into consideration. We're looking at your car payment history. So if you have a car note, are you paying that on time? Is there a history of this car note being late? When we look at your credit report, is it 30 days late? Is it 60 days late? Is it 90 days late? We're looking at how are you managing your debts that you're taking on. Bankruptcy, something really important. Again, we are not here to judge. But what we have to take a look at is we need a little bit of distance of when we've made these big financial decisions. So if you have filed bankruptcy, that discharge must be at least 3 years old. Okay? So that's something important to understand about bankruptcy. Repossessions. If there is a repossession on there, there needs to be one, that repossession must be on a current payment plan. But if there is a repossession on your credit report, you'll also need to provide a letter of explanation of helping Habitat understand of what led to the repossession. I talked about collections, but the other thing that's really important for everyone to understand is about judgments and liens. You cannot apply for this program if you currently have judgments and liens against you. That's just too big of a risk for Habitat to take on. With your revolving accounts, so this is your credit cards, this is your store cards, so these are these revolving accounts. We want to make sure that, again, you're paying those on time and consistently. But if there is a history of 60-day late payments, 90-day late payments, that's where we start saying, okay, there's a flag here, because it's a bit of a risk there. So we're taking all that into consideration. Again, and what I want everyone to hopefully walk away with, it's not just saying, oh, I got this one thing, I'm done. We're looking at the full picture. Because someone, let me just paint a little example. You may have someone who the income is there. Their debt may be pushing the threshold. It may be at that 40, it might be at that 43, heck, it might even be at 44%. But maybe we take a look at their bank account and they're managing their finances. And we can take a look at, because we know what we can do when a person's in this program. We're looking at the capacity to be able to bring that to a place where not only are you within the guidelines, but now you're showing us the consistency that you can maintain that. Because then that tells us, okay, now they're ready for that next stage. So I just want you all to understand that it isn't just a one thing. I'm going through all of this stuff because we want a full, well-rounded picture. Okay? But with those credit cards and those revolving accounts, we want to look at, because that tends to be things that we see a lot on our credit reports, because, you know, they're always throwing them at us, you know, so usually sometimes they're like, fine, I'll take it. I took mine very early, right at college. They slapped one at me. I was like, take it. In a month, $6,000 charged up. I was 18 years old, you know? So we want to make sure that when we get these revolving accounts, how are we managing those? Are we charging it all the way up? Are we living right all the way close to that maximum threshold? Or are we keeping a responsible distance? But again, we're looking at that full picture. Something that is also important for you all to understand, if there are dependents that are living in the home, we collect that information. Couple things. One, homes are expensive. We have had homes recently that have appraised at over $440,000. It is projected that some of these future homes are going to appraise at over $500,000. Now, most of us cannot afford to take out a $500,000 mortgage on our first home. In order for that to happen, you may come into this and be able to, of that 400, you may only be able to carry 250,000 of that 400,000. So what Habitat does, and part of what is the magic of our program, is we go out and we find all the subsidy to fill in that gap. Because we're not going to make you afford a $400,000 mortgage. You may only be able to afford $250,000. That's what an affordable mortgage is for based off of your income. So we go and find the down payment assistance and the subsidy to fill in that gap. Heck, Habitat will even throw in its own capital to fill in that gap, to make it affordable for you based off of your income. So that's how the affordable mortgages work. But we also have to take a look at who's all in the home. And if they are at working age, we have to take that income into consideration. Because some of these programs that help us fill in that gap, they have a threshold based off of your household size. And if the total household income exceeds that, you may not qualify for that. So we have to take all of that into consideration. Because again, although your income may be within our program guidelines, right? But when we take a look at the whole household, that may be more than what the subsidy looks at. So it might be really challenging to do so. And it's not to say that's a deal breaker, and we don't want you going around lying on your application and saying you're a household of 3 when realistically there's another child in the other room. Seen it all. I literally have seen people pop out of closets on a home visit. So, make sure that you give us the full picture, but we will ask for income information. And the other thing that is really important to understand, something that's super important for all applicants to understand, that this program isn't just for you. It's for the whole household. It impacts the entire household, this program. Everyone is expected to really, to a certain degree, contribute to that partnership to make that goal of home ownership a reality. One of the other things that if you have dependents in the home that are over the age of 18 that are working, we are going to be collecting information. So they have to be willing to first furnish that information on a regular basis, because we have to make sure, again, we have to make sure that you are always moving towards being mortgage ready. So just understand, and they have to understand that. Because every single month, it's not going to be a battle where we're going back and forth because one of your dependents doesn't want to provide this information that you need to continue this process going. So just everyone has to understand that we're collecting those information. So, as the application process happens, we are looking at everything. One thing that I want to mention before I start going into and talking about the program itself, one of the biggest things that I have seen that hold up people during this application process is when it comes to your tax return. So I want to spend a moment, so much so, let me clear my throat for this. This is big, this is important. I have seen folks who have the income, looks great. Their debt looks excellent. Now we start taking a look at your tax history. Because one of the things that we have seen, and it's something for you all to be aware of, but one of the things that we have seen with some tax preparers around the county is, as a way to help their client get more on their tax refund, we see these scheduled losses, these business losses on these tax returns. Whether it's a legitimate business or a business that really doesn't exist. But what we're seeing are these large losses, $5, $10, $20, $40, $50,000 losses, Schedule C losses. So what this shows up and how this reads on your tax return and how this impacts you, which is really helpful to understand, that although it shows this business loss, it lowers your taxable income. So whether you may have made $60,000 that year, but you took a $30,000 loss from this business that you may or may not have. And so now your taxable income went from $60,000 to $30,000. Well, guess what? Habitat is going to use that adjusted gross income. Not that income that you brought in, we have to use that adjusted gross income. We have to use the income that you told Uncle Sam. That's the income that we're using. So if there is a history of that, then we are going to take whatever you're currently making, I'm gonna take that average of that and I'm gonna impact it to what you're currently making. So that's going to bring down your income. So whether you may, on paper, you may make 65, 75,000, you may make the income where you're like, I got this. But over the last 2 years, you also had some funny business going on in your tax return. And according to Uncle Sam, you actually only make $35,000 a year. That's not enough money for this program. So that's something for you all to really pay attention to. And I don't want anyone to get discouraged. We all do what we gotta do. It's expensive out there. Life is always tiptoeing, just lifing on us, doing everything it can. It gets tough. We make decisions, but understand that some of these decisions may impact certain things that we may want later on the line. My recommendation to you is just one, take a look at your taxes. If you have, then make a point, okay, I gotta stop. Let me find a better tax preparer. Let me make sure that my taxes are clean. Because we look at the last 2 years of your tax returns, okay? So just want you all, and I spent a little bit more time on that because it burns. Every single application that comes through touches my hands. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. You get carpal, I'm gonna have carpal tunnel in the next couple years. But the thing that burns every single time when I see are these business losses on there, these business losses. It's just like, oh. If there's one thing that I wanna make sure people understand is what's going on with your taxes. So just pay attention to that. If your taxes are nice and clean, mwah, beautiful. Keep it up, keep it up. So, but just know that a part of this application process is honesty. It is honesty. If there is one thing that you could walk away from this time, our time today, is honesty when you are applying for this program. Because what you put in at that pre-qualification stage, that is you telling us this is who I am. As we move along this application stage, as you see these steps, we're gonna start asking for a lot of information that you gotta produce to us. We don't just ask it just because we want to stress you out. We ask it because we need to determine, are you a good fit for our program? Are you a good candidate to eventually get to the stage where we can start talking about these amazing lots and these amazing homes and these amazing locations. First, let's come over here. Are you a good candidate for this program? Are you an honest candidate for this program? So there's something that is so important. So just be mindful. Be mindful of what you're putting on that questionnaire. Because we go back and we will compare that to what you submit to us. Because some people look really good on that pre-qualification stage. Because when I say how much you entered and you just got a blank space and you can enter it in, oh, I see some crazy incomes. I get excited during this stage, but I've learned to tamper down my excitement. Because, show me the receipts. Let me see what it looks like. Because I've seen someone who had an $80,000 income and then they provided their pay stubs and they only made like $40,000. I'm like, where does that $40,000 come from? So again, just make sure that you're being honest. Because all the stuff that we provide is going to paint the picture. All right? It is a process. It is a process. And that's why I said this program isn't for everyone. And the main thing that I will say is if you feel that you're like, okay, Donald, you have told me a lot, and there have been a couple little like, ooh, ow, ooh, ow. I may not be ready this time around. How do I get ready? We work with some amazing resources in the community. I encourage you to take advantage of them. Urban League of Broward County, Consolidated Credit Solutions, Housing Foundation of America, Hispanic Unity Foundation. All of them are all on our website. We have links directly to their pages. We have their phone numbers all on our page. I encourage you that if now is not the time, let me put it like this, if now is not your time, get ready, work with them, because they know our guidelines. They have the advisors who are literally dedicated. They're just sitting there just waiting for someone who's just motivated and ready, because it takes work. Just like how it took work to charge up those cards, like how it took work to, it's going to take work. But we're not Oprah. Habitat doesn't give away homes. That's not how it works. I don't care how many people think that. That is not how this program works. So if you're not ready, I just encourage you to get ready. Because Habitat has been around over 40 years. We're not going anywhere. You saw earlier where we're building. These homes don't just sprout up like this. It takes a process. And not only are we looking at that, but Habitat is also looking ahead for even 5 years from now, and in 5 years even after that. So don't get discouraged if everything I'm telling you, you're like, okay, I'm glad I came, but maybe this enrollment cycle is not my cycle. And I'm not putting that energy out there. I want all of y'all. I want you all, everyone in here, I want y'all to be my next class of future homeowners. But I don't know that yet. So I just encourage you to make sure you already took that step by just showing up here. So now it's just making sure that, okay, Habitat's open enrollment is open for the next 2 weeks. Let me just take a look at it. Let me take a look at my stuff. If I feel like I'm good, okay, throw your name in the hat. All right? So what I'm gonna do is no, stay on that one. Stay on that one. So what I'm gonna do is for these I think I got like last 10 minutes with you all. I will have time for just a few questions, but I do want to just pre-warn everyone, because whenever I get in these spaces and when we get to the Q&A portion, I cannot answer any questions about your specific situation. That's not how it works. I can answer general questions, but certain questions that you ask, for me as being a qualified loan originator, sounds fancy, right? Basically, I can't answer certain things because it triggers an application. And I can't answer certain questions without having the full picture. So you saw all of that stuff. There's so many factors and we can go down a rabbit hole. So if they're more general, I can answer more general questions. But if they're more specific, what I would say is, one, read through the FAQ. If you don't find that answer in there, you have the email address to us, shoot us an email. But again, we may not be able to answer that specific question, but I also don't want you telling all your business in front of all these strangers also, okay? So here's the program. So, I spent all that time talking about the application process because, again, it's a process to get to the program. But when I say it's worth it, it is so worth it. But just getting into the program isn't, I tell folks right off the bat, don't come into this program acting like you already are a homeowner, because you will be humbled quickly. Our program is broken down in a couple of stages. So in that first 6 months, so you went through this application process, you have a partnership, you are excited, you got that yellow shirt that you see our future homeowners wearing. Well, stage 1 of our process, we focus on financial literacy and your sweat equity. So this is during the first 6 months. It's showing us, are you ready for this? Because if you cannot handle the first 6 months of this program, that next 6 months will be even tough. So, but during this stage, you're gonna start getting your financial education. We spend you on monthly workshops. First 6 months, all we focus on financial literacy. That's all we focus on, because we wanna make sure that you are solid, and we wanna see that consistency. Then, you're starting your sweat equity. You're working at the Restore. Fighting that temptation, because man, I love that Restore. I don't even go to the Restore because I'm like, I walk out with something every time. But you start your sweat equity. You're starting to build homes on the construction site. You're starting to be at the Restore. You're building up your sweat equity. And now you're also working on your budget. Everyone, I don't care if you come in here super financially bulletproof, everyone has to consistently work on their budget. So that's what you're doing for the first 6 months of this program. By that time, you have at least hit 60 hours of sweat equity. Then, stage 2. This is the longest stage of the process. During this stage, this could take up to a year to complete, but during this stage, you are continuing to work on your budget and savings goals. And everyone comes in here having to reach certain savings goals. Then you are completing, at this stage, up to about 250 hours of sweat equity during this stage. Every single applicant, whether you're a co-applicant pair or you're applying by yourself, every person who goes through the homeownership program has to complete 300 hours of sweat equity. During that stage, this is where the largest chunk of those hours are coming in. Then you are building foundations for confident homeownership. You're learning how to maintain that home. Because it isn't just about affording the home. It's knowing how to maintain that home, the exterior and the interior. Some of our homes that we're building are in HOA developments. So you all are gonna be your own HOA. What, Donald? I wasn't ready for that. It's not the scariest thing in the world. I actually prefer HOAs, to be honest with you. But we provide you with that ongoing education. So this could take up to a year to complete. Then we move into stage 3 of the program. So now at stage 3, you start seeing that light, because now you're just like, whoo, my goodness, that was a lot. But by this time, you have your lot. You know exactly what home that you have claimed as yours. So you are now ready for that mortgage process and getting yourself mortgage ready. So by this time, you have completed your escrow fund. So every single month, you are responsible for making a deposit into your escrow account to Habitat. That's getting you in the routine of making this payment towards Habitat. You're gonna fulfill your escrow account of $3,000. You're finishing up your sweat equity, and now we start the closing process. You start talking about, now is where we start looking at numbers. Now is where we start talking about, okay, this is what your mortgage is gonna look like, this is what we're gonna start, and these are now the stages. Because again, it's not clear selling. But by this stage, you are so excited because your home is coming together, the paint is up now, the landscaping is happening, and it's just a magical time. However, one of the big things is you are not done yet, because it is so important. It is so incredibly important that you understand that you must maintain throughout this whole process your qualifications. this entire time. So you're just kind of like this the whole time. You're like, I'm not walk backwards. You are having to maintain your income. That means how you came into this program. You want to make sure that income doesn't take a big drop, because if your income drops, you may no longer be eligible to purchase a home with our homeownership program. You want to make sure that you're not racking up debt. You made yourself look really pretty to get into this program, then you got real comfortable and got back into some old ways, and now the holiday season rolled around, and instead of telling your family, we're on this homeownership journey, you looked at those big old eyes and you caved in and you racked up that credit card. You got to make sure that you're maintaining those qualifications, that you're not dipping that hand into that cookie jar and every month and you're pulling from that savings. So I know for a long time, until I got my act together, that was me all the time. I would throw a little money in the savings. Within that same week, maybe sometimes that same day, I'm like, I'm gonna slide it right back over. Slide it right back over. Next thing you know, that savings is back at what it was before I even started. It's like, who are you fooling? Get together. So, we wanna make sure that you're maintaining that. Your residential status, we wanna make sure that, again, you stay qualified for this program. Because throughout this, you have to make sure that you are eligible for the home loan. So that is what's really important there. After that stage, once you qualify for the home loan, that is now the home stretch. Because once you have qualified for that home loan, this is where we set up your closing date. We set up an amazing celebration for you and all your amazing neighbors who are going to be living in your community. And then you sit down at that closing table and you get the keys to your brand new home. So this, I don't know why, every time I get to that point, I always get that little part that hits me. You know why it always hits me is because I know how hard you all work. I know what you all have to do to not only get to this stage, but to each stage in this process. And the thing about this program that I want you all to understand is we don't just take you and then throw you out into the ocean and say, all right, make it back to the shore. The thing that makes this program so beautiful, and you all are beneficiaries of it right now, is the amount of support that you have. There is a whole village of support that our future homeowners get and receive. And that is the community around here. And just like our friends here at Sanctuary Church that have offered their beautiful sanctuary to us, we provide you with the financial coaching. You have empowerment coaches that you can lean on to help you be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You have a program manager who's there to make sure that you stay in line. You have volunteers on the construction site who are teaching you everything that you need to know about building that home. You have the team at the Restore who gets excited to see you all in there because you guys actually help make more items sell because they see exactly who it's benefiting. So there is a whole village of support that supports you throughout this journey along the way. And in addition to that, we have a program for the youth. So we have a youth empowerment program. So these are for your kids, so ages 6 to 16, they can contribute to the sweat equity. Because we have a monthly program, we partner with the Boys and Girls Club. And once a month, the kids get together where they build the connections. They build the bonds with each other. So then that way, when they move into the new neighborhood with each other, they've already established all of that, and that eases that transition. So again, this is all about a family, because that's what we are at Habitat. You're part of the Habitat family. So again, my whole goal today is to make sure that if you decide that now is going to be the time that you're going to put your name in there, we just want to make sure that you have a full picture of understanding what this program looks like. Because it does look pretty when you see WSBN and you see on that little dedication, you see our little homeowners all shiny and happy. But to get to that phase, it's a lot of work that happens. It's a lot of sacrifices. And more importantly, it's a mindset shift. It really does. And it doesn't happen overnight. We have all had life adjust us to the people that we are today. And our goal is just to shift you into that mindset of being prepared to be a homeowner. But not just paying it, the whole well-rounded, okay? So what are the next steps? Like I said before, assess your readiness. Is now a good time for you? Also, our questionnaire is opened up, so now if you feel that it's a good time, our eligibility questionnaire is open now through April 3rd. I'll tell you this, if you say, okay, Donald, first question, I already applied. Can I do it again? Yes. If you've already submitted a questionnaire, what we will do is we take the most recent submission, because we have folks that I think I've probably seen up to 10 submissions from one person before. But we will take the most recent submission. So when you finally have decided, okay, that's the one. Okay, we'll take the most recent one. So if you've already applied, don't worry, you can go back on and reapply again. But that does close, that's all jumbled on there. But again, if you have any questions, you all hopefully at this point scan that QR. Can we go back to that other page, the previous slide with the QR, just in case? Thank you. So you all have the QR here. I just encourage you to share that with your friends, yourself, whatnot, but that's everything that I went over today. All of that stuff is on that document there, okay? So I want to thank you all for your time and attention, and I just want to offer space, because I'm right at my time. So I just want to offer some space just for a few questions, and I'll get those. Yes, ma'am.
Right now we have a disaster. That's disaster relief, and we're in the middle of these 2 years of supporting, you all supporting us. What happens then? If we have a hurricane, something happens to that.
We work through it. Okay. We work through it. We don't make any, the first thing we do is we don't make any drastic decisions. That's the first thing that we tell all of our families. Whatever you do, come to us first and let's talk about it. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what, especially if you're in the program and something happens, let's talk about it. Because we don't want a decision based off of a current emotion to impact where you're at right now. And so also, if you're currently experiencing a disaster or whatnot, paint the picture. Let us know what's going on. Because again, if you make it to the application stage, there's an essay portion in there that you're able to tell us what your housing need is. So let us know what the housing need is, and we'll see, what it looks like. Got it? Yes. About the partnership. What does that mean? Because I use the word partnership a lot, and I'm so glad that you picked up on that. And then the other was, let's say for instance, I'm in the home, 5, 7, 10 years, and life just provides an opportunity or whatever the case may be, and I'm looking at selling my home. What does that look like? Two really good questions. So, as I say, Habitat does not give away homes. We work in partnership with our future homeowner to make your dream of homeownership a reality. So with the partnership, you have certain expectations that you're having to meet, which is making sure that you stay qualified, that you're completing the sweat equity, that you're building up your savings, that you're going to the workshops, those are what your end of it, right? Our end of the partnership is making sure that we provide you with all the resources, we remove all the barriers. We also make sure that at the end of this, that you're getting an affordable mortgage. So we are doing things like I mentioned before. We're finding all that subsidy. If you can only afford a $200,000 mortgage on a $500,000 home, okay, but that's not your problem because we brought you in. If we brought you in at this income, then our promise to you is that we're gonna make sure that if you follow your end of the partnership, you're gonna walk out of this with an affordable mortgage on a brand new home that is yours. So that's what I talk about with the partnership, where it's you have expectations that we expect from you, and then you have expectations that you can expect from Habitat. And we work together to make sure that we're following along with that. Now, if you're wanting to sell the house, we are not in the business for you to go through all this so you can turn around and flip the home. That's not what this program is about, and that's not what Habitat is about. We do have, in a lot of cases, we have some essentially clauses in there where you need to be in the home for a minimum amount of years. Also, with Habitat, because we want to make sure that these homes stay in the affordable home ownership space, Habitat does get first right of refusal. So that is also a part of that, so super helpful to understand. So it doesn't mean you can't sell it, but if you are selling it, Habitat, hold on, let us make sure, because what we want to make sure is we want to make sure that house can stay in the inventory of affordable home ownership, so then that way that next home buyer can actually afford to purchase that home. Okay? All right, I might have time for one or two more questions. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so an unborn child, you can't add them to the application because we don't have a birth certificate or any of that. But an unborn child, we do take that into consideration because that is an addition that will be coming to the household. Essentially, what that does, if the household size, it essentially just increases the threshold of the income that one is needed, but also that you can have, our raising group, but it also raises the bottom as well, because our household got to have a little bit more money to support. So it's just, trying to understand that would impact the focus. All right, I got time for one more question. Something that is really important that we actually just recently have seen this, like there are folks who are paying, there's things like Klarna or some of these kind of apps that are paying the bills for you. The thing that we look at is we don't penalize you for you not knowing some of these things coming into the program. Now, like auto bill pay and all of those things, we just want to make sure that you're not raising flags for, we follow very strict anti-money laundering laws, and we have to be very compliant with that. So we just want to make sure that we can follow where that money is swimming to, and then if you're paying things on in a way